doing video too? All right. Well, I am Sheena Tullos, and I don't even know where to begin. It's a lot. I recently have been arrested by the Leake County Police Department after filing for child support and to establish paternity on a local police officer there by the name of Andrew Bennett. He's a police officer with the Carthage Police Department, and he is the father of my son Liam. We have had an ongoing relationship for over 5 years now. And about 2 years into the relationship, I learned that he had gotten married. I was living on his family property and had my children from a previous marriage living on his family property in Lena, Mississippi. And he went to another state and got married to another woman and continued to live with me, telling me that he was working out of town and he would be gone a lot. And unbeknownst to me, he was married and living a second life with another woman. I found out who that woman was and made contact with her and let her know about it. And it kind of backfired on me. All of a sudden, I became the bad person. I was made to leave the property, of course. Had to move my children and uproot them. Was threatened with legal actions, and so I just kind of moved on about my life. And eventually, about like 6 months after that, Andrew reached out to me again and made some bad choices and decided to pick up the relationship again and continue kind of as his mistress, I guess. Um, the entire time that I have been with Andrew, I have met Andrew while he was on duty as a police officer, not only in Leake County, but also when he was a police officer for Forest Police Department. And he, I'm gonna nurse him. I don't mind. I'm not. But he would send me his police schedule and have me meet up with him, and we would have our affair basically in his cop car. Sometimes I would ride around with him. I've been on multiple calls with him, not only in Forest, but also in Carthage police, in Carthage. And woo, there they go. So, we've, carried on this relationship, and I ended up getting pregnant with Liam. And we have, since I've tried to get him to, help pay for child support or whatever without having to go through all these court hearings and stuff. But I ended up having to file against him for child support. And that was, I believe, August 20th of this year, I filed for child support. And by September 17th, I was arrested on a 2-year felony cyber stalking charge that his wife had signed an affidavit against me back in 2023. It was in July of 2023, this affidavit was signed, and I, never heard of it since July. In August, I had actually passed a felony background check to be able to work in the industry that I work in. You have to go through the Mississippi Department of Health and do felony background checks and stuff, and you can't be a convicted felon or have any felony warrants in order to work in the industry that I work in. And so I, never knew I had any felony warrants. Well, shortly after serving Andrew with these child support papers, I get a call while I'm at work that the Brandon Police Department is at my door and they're looking for me. So I'm at work. I call the police department and, asked to speak to whoever had responded to my house and wanted to know what it was about. He just told me that he had an ongoing investigation and it was important that he talk to me. So I, finished up, I did my job and left and went straight home and called the police officer, and he responded back out to my home. And as soon as he walked up to me, he says, "I have a warrant for your arrest. Turn around," and puts me in handcuffs, takes me in the middle of the night. Luckily, I had childcare for my baby, and he was okay. But as you see, he is breastfed, so I was taken away from my breastfed child. I was transported from Brandon, where I live in Rankin County in Brandon, and I was transported from Brandon PD by Leake County, spent the night in Leake County Jail, and was released the next day after bonding out, where, I met Judge Pope, come up to the jail, set a bond, and I was able to bond out. And I'm trying to think of what else there is. It's so much. So I bonded out, and now I'm kind of here. That following Monday, after me being arrested, I did go up to Carthage PD, and I spoke with Chief Billy McMillan and I guess his assistant chief. I'm not sure if that's his title or not, but Seth Wagner. And I filed a formal complaint against Andrew Bennett and made them aware that he does use his patrol car to meet up with women, not just me. In this time, that since I've had the baby, I did find out that we had, that Andrew had actually had another child by another woman that is not his wife, that resides in Carthage by the name of Roxana Johnson. And Roxana has a son that is 2 weeks older than my son, Liam. He was born in November also, and so I kind of found out about her. And she's even admitted to, yeah, this is where I met up with him, and kind of confirmed some of the same meeting spots that we would meet. A few years ago, I got mad at Andrew, and he would send me his department schedule. That way I wouldn't have to ask him, what days are you working here? What days are you working there? And he would just send me the whole schedule, so I would have his schedule for the month, and would know when to meet him. So I actually ended up getting mad at Andrew, and I posted him in an online group about, is this the same guy that we're dating? Something similar to that. And I posted him just kind of warning women, and I ended up posting the department schedule, and it did get back to his chief, and he was suspended for 3 days behind that. So this isn't something that Carthage PD wasn't aware of. Like, they knew, they had seen, some of the screenshots that I had shared during those posts back in, I think it was around 2002, 2003. At the time when I found out about his wife, he had, can you follow me if I stand up with him? Okay. So around the time that he had, that I had found out about his wife, he actually, I was living with him, and I was purchasing a car that was in his name. I had done paid almost $4,000 on this car, and he had, hold on, I'm trying to get his name. It is Constable Steve Goodman, come out to the home there there off of Craig Drive in Lena, Mississippi. He had officer, or he's constable, come, and he was not acting as a constable when he came. He was acting as a repo man. And he came with a record and tried to take the vehicle and told me, "Hey, I'm here, I'm taking this vehicle." And I basically told Steve Goodman then, and this was in 2002, I told Steve Goodman then basically a lot of what I'm telling you now. I've told him that, I was having sex with Andrew in his cop car. I've got proof that I've been having sex with him in his cop car. I've got pictures of the inside of his cop car, me sitting in his cop car. And I know, Mama's just talking. And so I've got, a lot of proof that he's been having all this misconduct, and people have been told, but I guess it's kind of fallen on deaf ears or been swept under the rug, or he was, suspended for 3 days, pat on the hand, and don't do that again. But he's continued to do it. I know that me and Roxana are not the only women that he's, been having affairs with. I've heard of multiples. I've spoke with multiples. Some that, I'm not going to name them because they don't want their business out there like that, and they're no longer involved with him. But it's been several women just hurt by him, and he, at this point, is weaponizing his authority as a police officer to enact whatever these charges are that were brought against me for felony cyber stalking. I still haven't really seen the affidavit. Is very vague. It doesn't go into any description as to what I've done. But this felony could actually cause me to lose my career and cause me to lose the ability to be able to take care of my child that he is not helping with whatsoever. So I'm just kind of like at this point, because it's so deep with the police department, and I've already seen all the corruption that's going on in Leake County. I kind of feel like I've got to go public about this, because if I'm not loud about it, I'm going to end up being one of those missing people. So, I mean, this is where we're at. I had a court date today. When I got bonded out, I was given court papers that said that I had a court date of October 23rd at 9 a.m. Well, I've got an attorney, and my attorney called, or my attorney's office, his secretary called to get some papers, get some information so they could fax over some papers or email over some papers to the court, so he could put in that he's going to be my attorney and send over his bar number, all the legal stuff. So they call, and they're like, oh, well, she's got a court date this coming Monday. What is today? The 6th. So she's got a court date on October the 6th at 1 p.m. So my attorney's secretary calls me, and she's like, Sheena, they're saying that you're supposed to be there at Monday at 1 p.m. I'm like, but I've given y'all my court, y'all seen all the court papers. Everything says October. I'm like, well, I'll be there. Can y'all be there? Unfortunately, my attorney couldn't be there today because he had prior engagements. So I went thinking that it was going to be some kind of a plea thing where I would, plead guilty or not guilty. And I sat in court. My name was on the docket. I took pictures of it because after sitting in court, my number was called. And he, here, you can play with the turtle. You could play with the turtle. Yeah, you could play with the turtle. You mad about it? But, after my number was called, I, go to the judge, and he's basically, why are you here? Who told you to be here? And I'm like, well, the court clerk, my bondsman, I had the bondsman call also, and they told the bondsman that I had court and that I was due to be there at 9 a.m. So they told the bondsman one thing and then told my attorney's office a whole nother time. And then I show up, and they act like, why are you here? You don't have a court date today. Your court date is October 23rd. But my name was on the docket. After leaving court, I did make contact with the bondsman, and I let her know that, here, play. You want to play with some of these? Yeah, sorry. And I let her know that, what had happened. And she actually, made the statement that she's been doing bonds for over 20 years, and she's never seen them even change a court date like that. But they did tell her that I was supposed to be there in court, so I went as I thought I was supposed to, which just, I don't know. She said that was out of the normal. There were some comments made about it being out of the normal, that there were 5 Brandon police officers sent to my house on a 2-year-old warrant that basically looks like it has no evidence, no nothing. It was signed originally on July the 3rd, but then there's July the 3rd is scribbled out, and then it says July the 5th written in pen of 2023. And this is for felony cyber stalking and something about some emails. And I'm like, have I made contact with Andrew Bennett's wife, Brittany? Yes. I've let her know. I've let her know about my baby. She said some foul things to me. I've said some foul things to her. Um, but at the end of the day, I'm not a felon. I didn't deserve to be ripped out of my home at night, triggering my PTSD, having my kids taken, well, my kids weren't taken from me, but, not being able to get to my child, not being able to have access to my baby. And then not even being able to have access to a breast pump while I'm in there. Not realizing while I'm in this jail, in Leake County Jail, that the pod that I'm on has like shattered glass to the point where any one of those inmates that I was housed in there with could have went and just grabbed a shard of glass and came and stabbed anyone on that zone. There were women in there. When I was brought in, I was made aware that there was head lice on the zone. Don't share blankets with anybody. So as soon as I got home, I'm like de-licing myself, making sure. So it was not only that, but the women in there were expressing that, they had been on their cycles for 3 or 4 days and had been asking for pads, They're, pushing the button on the wall, calling like, hey, can we get some pads today? Like, how women are when they're like in a group together like that. Once one starts, they're all going to start, their cycles start to sync up. But to be denied just those, like I wasn't denied those basic rights. But knowing that jail is denying women of those basic rights, like just, it's inhumane. They're not in there, like, not all of them that are in there. I don't know, what everyone's charges were or what they were in there for, but at the end of the day, no one deserves to be treated like that unless you're a pedophile. Like,
You filed for child support. Do you have proof that Andrew is the father?
I do not have. I have proof that Andrew is the father, but I have like a peace of mind proof. What I did 2 weeks after my son was born, I had paid through the DNA diagnostics in Pearl to have DNA tests done. And right before, and Andrew was in agreement to come and take that DNA test. But right before I was scheduled to take that DNA test with him, um, I found out about Roxana. And because I found out about Roxana, Andrew stopped responding to some of my messages. He quit answering me. He wasn't gonna show up. So I reached out to Andrew's his biological father, his family, his sister. I let them know about Liam, and they were willing and accepting. And I did a paternity test, proving that Andrew's dad is his biological grandfather. So, and in the courts, I have filed in Leake County Court, a petition to have him, I guess court ordered to do a paternity test so I can get some kind of legal rights. Because I'm not on government assistance and stuff, I don't really qualify to go through the child support agency. I filled out multiple applications with the child support agency, and that's a whole nother story all in itself that needs a lot of light brought to it, because young Williams is basically just taking government money and sitting on their asses. That's all they're doing. So, I took it upon myself and I filed pro se in Leake County, to take him to child support, to establish paternity and establish some kind of support for his son. And it was not 2 or 3 weeks after that, like after he was actually formally served, and I had to pay for all this. Like, I had to pay the filing fees. It wasn't go down to the child support office and, oh, we'll do everything for you, which apparently they don't do anything for you.
Did you request the paupers in Leake County Chancery Court?
I did not. I did not. I did request a paupers form when I was filing, in the justice court, not the justice court. What was it that I went and filed that I requested a paupers for up there, and they told me they don't do that there. I can't remember. There's been so much that it's all like running in together. It's like I gotta look at my phone, look at my timeline.
The other mother that had a child the same week as you, have you encountered any what you would consider cyber stalking out of her?
So yes, I've actually, since I've met Roxana, she has created multiple Snapchat accounts, Facebook accounts, TikTok accounts, and has followed me. She has tried to communicate me. She played off of the fact that she knows that I'm bisexual and tried to like communicate to me as another woman by the name of Hillary, stating that she lived in Greenville and just trying to like create a romantic interest there. And I kind of knew from the start that it was her. I knew that it was a fake account and I just kind of played along with it. And eventually she did kind of like let herself know, like let herself be known that yes, this is me, because I had made a comment. It was, I want to say, around the end of January, beginning of February of this year. I had made a comment to that Hillary account and said that I had just left from meeting with Andrew, which I had, and that he had seen the baby, and that was the one and only time that he had actually seen the baby. And she immediately like flipped script and went to like, oh well, that's not right to all the other kids, and he should be having something to do with all the other kids. And she ended up letting me know, but trying to say that it was her sister that had created that account, but she didn't know that that account was there or anything about her sister doing this until I had mentioned something about Andrew, and then the girl started screenshotting and I guess sending the screenshots to Roxana. So I don't know, but it's been multiple accounts. There's been multiple accounts created in my name that I have noticed. And in the industry that I work in, I utilize social media a lot to network and to help with brand building and marketing, and it's become a nuisance.
But your theory is that if anyone was cyber stalking Andrew's wife, that it was potentially
Oh yeah,
her.
definitely. If anybody's cyber stalking Andrew's wife, it's definitely Roxanne.